Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Fahd Dawood. I talk about real estate, specifically in Dubai, but also internationally. I've been doing this for 14 years across the world, starting in Toronto, Dubai, Pakistan, Europe, London, etc. I also talk about your and my life and our path to financial freedom. Look, some of you who might not know about this, but Dubai's real estate trajectory is pretty much intertwined with one particular developer that has done and added more value than any other developer in Dubai or perhaps in the region. That developer is Emaar. And I want to talk about their pattern breaking moments, or something that they did very, very early on, or something that they understood very, very early on that set them apart. And now 20 plus years after, with 55,000 apartments, townhouses, villas, commercial offices, communities, delivery later, they're much ahead of the pack when it comes to development of real estate, whether as a community or else or otherwise. And I wanted to share some early pattern breaking moments and then some key stories of those moments that I have from my personal experience. Because you know what, let's face it, words don't teach. Experiences or the stories that are told around them perhaps will bring you some benefit from that, right? So Emaar, right at the beginning, okay, so I'm just going to talk to you and very clearly explain that the one key pattern breaking thing that Emaar focused on across all of its communities was, I just said it, building a community where people could relax, live, build family relationships, spend time with their family, extended family, and overall get a better experience out of life. Now, Dubai is spread across Dubai, entire UAE is a safe country. It's very family oriented. So almost anywhere that you live, you're going to have a generally decent, high standard of living. But if you're living in an Emaar community, your standard of living goes from here up over here because of the amenities, the A+ amenities packages that are brought in terms of parks, jogging tracks, cycling tracks, retail space, coffees, cafes, so on and so forth, all imbibed or imbued in the community, interwoven well together and performing for you as an investor or an end user. As an investor, you end up getting higher rents. As an end user, you end up enjoying living there, right? Now I want to talk about some of those early communities. I want to talk about 4 communities that they delivered or they conceptualized and launched. And now I'm going to tell you my personal story with each particular community or somebody I know who was personally involved with this community, right? So I'm going to talk about the Springs, the Meadows, Arabian Ranches, and the 4th one I'm going to talk about Greens, okay? Let's talk about the Greens first, okay? This is a apartment building community that's delivered right on Sheikh Zayed Road. Over a number of years, over 10 years, this place has become quite central because it's down right across on Sheikh Zayed Road, and Sheikh Zayed Road is that like main artery of Dubai, right? If you go one side, it will take you all the way to Sharjah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwain, and so forth, and on the other side it'll take you to Abu Dhabi, and I think it goes all the way to Saudi Arabia. But on Sheikh Zayed Road, there's an apartment complex. I'm giving you the word. I'm calling it an apartment complex, but it's not really a complex. It's apartment community, and it's called Greens. It's got 1, 2, 3 bedroom and studio apartments. But the way they actually built it is they built it into a community format. So there's gardens, swimming pools, retail centers, outlets, nice parking areas. It's like this amalgamated, very high-end chic apartment complex that really stands out, and then the people who start living there or have lived there or own there start enjoying that place. It's got lakes, it's got many hidden treasures that not unless you're living there, you're not going to know, right? But here's the thing, here's the critical thing about this, and this is how Emaar launched it. This is one of my mentor's closest friends who is now a professor in South Korea. He used to be a professor in Dubai University. What Emaar did, they did a kind of like a focus group. They invited the people from society who they thought might be able to afford and buy these apartments. So they invited the the professors, the engineers, the architects, so on and so forth. And he narrates this first-hand story that they were sitting in this room, right? Because he worked for a Dubai National University. Obviously, he was invited as well. And he's like, we were sitting in this room, and I still remember when he was narrating this story, we were in a commercial place called, it used to be called the Knowledge Village, right across from Green. So you could see the entire Green community across from where we were standing. And when he was narrating this story to us, the Green community had sort of come into its own and was a popular place to stay and rent and buy and sell, right? And he was narrating the story to me and my mentor, who was my first partner in real estate. And he's telling us, look, Emaar invited us into this room and they did like a focus group. They showed us this presentation of this nice apartment complex with studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms that are available. And they said, like, you know, this is the location we're going to build them. They're going to be ready about 3 years. If you go to the site today, it's going to be pretty much barren. There's nothing but desert over there. But this is what it's going to look at. Well, this professor, this doctor, he ended up not buying anything, but he talked about another friend of his who actually bought 3 apartments. I think it was a mix of 1 bedroom studio and a 2 bedroom. And then she ended up selling them. I think she bought them for about 250,000 dirhams, which is approximately about $50,000-$60,000. And it ended up selling them for about 750,000 dirhams within a time span of 2 to 3 years, which was approximately about $250,000, right? So today, the Green sits in kind of like the heart of the city. It's not very far from the airport. There's a metro station that connects to it. Investors buy it and then sell it, put it on Airbnb because the metro connectivity is great. It's right opposite a very vast commercial center called Dubai Internet City, Media City, and I think it's called Knowledge Park. We're very high income residential, very high disposable income people live, and so they can afford good rent. So this generally developed into a nice place. The community is old. The buildings are old, 10 to 12 plus years. However, people tend to buy these apartments. Sometimes they gut them from the inside and renovate them completely. Other people love living there if they're not buying. Still very, very prime. The other community I want to talk about is the Springs. These were very early on townhouses that were delivered, and one of my early investors, she bought over here, right? She's one of the early employees. She's from the Philippines. I don't want to name her because this video goes online, but she'll probably watch this video and recognize herself. But she was one of the early employees of the Dubai Duty Free, right? She's from the Philippines, as I mentioned, and she's like an operations manager, loved by her employees, etc., etc. And when the Springs townhouses were launched, it's pretty much mayhem. If you didn't have a token, if you didn't have a way into it in the background, from the background, you couldn't really pretty much buy anything, right? And she was there, dejected, outside the ropes, couldn't go in to buy, except the security guard said there's 2 villas open or 2 townhouses open. Who's got their passports and their checks available right now to go and buy? And she's of shorter stature than general. And she's like, I was right there and I raised my hand and I got in there. She went in, bought a lovely townhouse, ended up not living there, but selling it because it was pretty much an investment for her. And she made a big killing. I think she bought it for 700,000 and sold it for 2.5 or 3 million at the peak of the real estate price peak, right? And then she ended up investing in several properties. Pretty much a success story for an investor. The Meadows were launched. These were around a golf course, high-end villas. I don't have a personal story from them, but I do know a personal friend of mine who runs another real estate company, and her parents own a villa over there, and they're just not willing to let go of it. I think at one time they were asking for close to 9 million, and when the prices started correcting and they were getting lower offers of 7 million, 8 million, they said, forget it. We love the community. We don't want to sell. You know, I'm not talking too much about the communities. Perhaps I'm telling you about what Emaars pattern breaking moment was. And that was they figured out early it was all about developing and delivering high-class communities that intertwine together, interact well together, and deliver value for the people many, many, many years to come, right? So that your property is never left behind, right? Take, for instance, downtown, right? If you bought an apartment in one of the towers here, look, you benefit from close proximity to the metro, Dubai Mall, fountains, Burj Khalifa, the fireworks, the whole 9 yards. So your property, even with the prices correcting, continues to get value because tenants get attracted, right? Because of all the other A+ amenities that you didn't have to pay for. The Dubai government, Emaar, paid for them, right? Billions and billions of dollars that were invested. I sometimes say this, the view that you get from some of the restaurants in downtown is $1 billion, are $1 billion views, to be honest, right? To be really fair. Last but not the least, I want to talk about the Arabian Ranches. And I want to share a personal story of my mentors. When the Arabian Ranches were getting delivered, he was about to buy a villa there between 4 to 5.5 million dirhams. And when he trekked down there, you got to remember Dubai used to be a close-knit community close to part of Dubai and Arab. And when he drove all the way to Arabian Ranches with one of the agents, the brokers who was selling him the villa, he said, who is going to come and live so far, right? Well, he waited about 2 to 3 years and prices started touching on those villas 8 million dirhams, which is roughly about, I'd say about $2.5 million. And by that time, he couldn't afford them, right? And long story short, again, Arabian Ranches is a beautiful community. The villas are older, but that's nothing to take away from the community because, if I was spending 2, 3, 4, 5 million dirhams on a villa in Arabian Ranches, I wouldn't spare the expense and I'd spend about $500,000 to $1 million dirhams of just upgrading and making it look nice to my taste, right? Because generally speaking, in Dubai, there's a structural warranty of 10 years, but Dubai is pretty serious the way it does work and the way it does its building. Alhamdulillah, we thank God. We've got a very good government that's got good checks and balances in place. When a building goes up, they've got inspectors that go and make sure that the cement, the structure, all pass certain quality checks. Like I would know this because my father, for 28 years, who's an architect engineer, worked for the Dubai government, right? He literally built the city with his hands. He's had a lot of input on a lot of projects across Dubai, but also away from the main hubs of Dubai in the areas which are less talked about, like Hatta and so on and so forth. So these were like 4 communities I want to talk about: Green Springs, Meadows, and Arabian Ranches. And one of the things I really wanted to say about these is these were Emaar's pattern-breaking moment, and Emaar continues to do that. So I today personally strongly believe if you're investing in Dubai, you want to look at Emaar, because when Emaar delivers you your villa, your townhouse, your apartment, it doesn't just deliver you that one villa, your townhouse, your apartment. It delivers a massive infrastructure of an A+ amenities package around it that you're going to, and your property and your end user is going to keep benefiting from many years to come. And when you're looking to sell, your property is going to sell at a better price. If you've got any questions, put them in the comment section. You can reach to me on WhatsApp. My number is below. Anything general, I love to answer you on YouTube so that everybody else can benefit. It's always for free, so I love getting your questions. If you want me to specifically work with you, there's a format that I do that with select investors. There is a fee involved. Hit me up. I will reply to you. Hit the subscribe button. Press the bell icon. I love doing that. It helps me, boosts my ego, and I get to make more content for you guys. Check you out on the other side. If you got ideas for videos, please hit me up. Would love to make some more. Yeah. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.